Okay, I'm gonna rise up, gonna kick a little ass, gonna kick some ass in the USA, gonna climb a mountain, gonna soar a flag, gonna fly on an eagle. I'm gonna kick some butt, I'm gonna drive a big truck, I'm gonna rule this world, I'm gonna kick some ass, I'm gonna rise up, I'm gonna kick a little ass, rock, flag, and eagle.
Hey everyone, welcome back to more Flesh and Bad, and today we're going to be playing some Kassai. So Kassai historically has been kind of an F tier hero. She did get pretty good in like heavy hitters, but basically just was on the decline ever since like MST and Rosetta released. But now that a lot of the Rosetta representation and also MST is completely gone, she's gotten a lot better. Specifically, she's got like pretty okay gravy matchup, just pretty decent into a lot of the field like Syndra, like pretty decent overall meta choice. And this is actually a list that won, or not won nationals, but got a fifth place placement at nationals. So this is from Aaron Chance. And we're going to be playing this deck. So this deck is pretty cool. Basically, Kassai's whole shtick is you basically generate a bunch of gold, and then you use that gold to either draw cards to make your swords free, or you just basically use the gold to maybe do something else. And that something else that I wanted to do is actually raise an army. So this is going to be kind of our meme for today, but this is actually in the original deck list as well. So this deck list was on 3 copies of Raise an Army. So I've not modified this deck list at all. The reason I wanted to play this card is just because it's funny meme. Like again, if we can get like 3 or 4 Centauri Sellsword tokens, which are these little guys with Go Again, that could be kind of fun. And then we can basically just do like a super wide turn and also just generate a lot of value from the allies. Yes, this is going to be the deck for today, and this is going to be kind of thematic for 4th of July. We're raising an army that probably won't benefit us in any real way, shape, or form. Yeah, so that's going to be the deck list for today. Let's go ahead and see if we can get some games. All right, playing against an Arakni. Is this a Dominion matchup, or is this a Kabuto matchup? I feel like it's just Dominion. I feel like Kabuto is here just for the Warrior Mirror, which is kind of crazy. Definitely want the shelters. Raise seems kind of whatever. Nursing seems pretty good, though. Maybe we'll just fat deck a little bit like this. I feel like the raise in the Blanche are obviously not necessary. So yeah, maybe we'll just fat deck just slightly. I feel like we could also get away with not fat decking. Oh. Alright, Hunter's Clave to start us off. Let's go ahead and just block with a yellow just to fill our bin. Could also give Dynamo, but then that would pump it. Could also just block with 2 yellows if they have a dagger pump, but yeah, it's fine. Alright, coming in with another dagger. I think I'll just get another yellow in the bin. I think maybe actually getting the first, like getting the glint out of hand is better, because then we can like save the run through, but maybe the run through is just not necessary. I'm worried about like not keeping hand with Go Again, but the glint can work as Go Again. Seems like they're maybe just taking a non-aggressive start to just force some cards out of hand. Okay, so this is actually not bad. We can Eye of Ophidia, Arsenal Shelter end a turn, and then just swing with Hot Streak first, maybe to see if we can force like the Go Again on it. Draw Swords I think is pretty good draw. Blood on our hand seems a little early, so I think I'm going to bottom that. And then we'll just do 4 into another 4. So yeah, we'll go ahead and Glint. And then Blade Flurry as well. Just get through a little bit of early damage. And we also get a Vigor here, which is pretty nice. Alright, Hunter's Clave coming in. Pitching 2 reds. So it's maybe good for us. Dynamo's not super useful right this second, but I think we're maybe just going to try to cover the mark here. Yeah, I don't think this is that bad for us. Go ahead and just shelter. Right, they are going to flick a dagger, which is fine. And T-Toxin also a bit rough, but not the end of the world. So they basically have to force through their card draw, but I think that's not the end of the world for us. Notably don't have a good codex target yet, so even if they draw, it's like whatever. Okay, just sitting in CNC. I think we'll just use the opportunity to clear the mark here and then also get our Dynamo's value. And then I think we're just keeping this hand. This hand seems pretty good. We get to draw swords, sharpen senses, do all the fun things. And then we can maybe also refresh our vigor. All right, so we do have Kassai activation too, which is quite nice. So let's go ahead and draw swords and see what we're drawing into the swing. So that's definitely one of the ways we can force through Kassai activation. So let's go ahead and banish. And then I think we're also going to just unsheathed here. We need some way to give go again, so it's either the unsheathed or the sharpened. I think I'd maybe actually rather just play out the sharpened. The unsheathed is obviously more damage, but the sharpened might not get better, and it also like goes into the graveyard next turn. All right, so get our resource, we'll get our vigor, and then swing with the hot streak as well, which you also get another 6 on, which is quite nice. Not pay for vigor, and then we'll just keep an arsenal and pass back. Pretty good set of draws. These draw swords have been, I think, the biggest innovation in Kassai gameplay. Like, just having the ability to draw a card without using a gold, I think, is very valuable. And yeah, I think we're just going to let them get the mark here. Pretty head on life, which is quite nice. Ooh, and the Bonds of Agony will force a block here, unfortunately. So we do have to block with at least one of our draw swords, because this cares about the same name, so they could take 2 of them out of our hand, which we don't want. So I think here we're maybe just giving Valiant Dynamo and both the draw swords. We could also try to save one, but they'll probably take one anyways, and then I feel like just giving a little bit of extra block on this is pretty reasonable. If they want to take one of our random blues, I think that's acceptable. All right, taking up the mantle, which I assume is just going to be for +3. So it looks like they're going to try to force the hit here, which is fine. We will pump all the way to 8, which is a little bit unfortunate in terms of our breakpoints. Wonder if we maybe should have given the Braid Forge. Like, maybe we should have thought about the breakpoints a little bit more. Like, if they just have a +3 pump and flick and this, then this goes to 8. Yeah, I think that might have been better. But still not the end of the world here. Like, we just took 1, and then they got to strip a card out of hand. And they don't really have a great codex target. Oh, they do have a great target with CNC, right? So I guess that means we're just giving up the remainder of our hand and passing back on our turn, which is not the end of the world. Yeah, I think I missed the one resource floating, but that's fine. Again, still not a terrible failsafe for us, and we can just send a Saber in for 1 here. That's fine. I think their next turn, if their next turn's pretty good, then it could get a little bit scary, but they also don't have any daggers, which could be a pretty big deal for us. Because it means it's going to be a lot harder for them to get any form of go again, unless they have some random mark synergy or retrieve or whatever. But yeah, getting the extra dagger out there was a pretty big deal. All right, pain in the backside doesn't have an on hit, so we won't block it. Yeah, going off of both daggers is pretty rough as any of the marionettes. All right, they will get the free mark here though, which is quite nice, but they don't really have an attack to put this on unless they have what's the card called? The stealth dagger attack, the one that's like really good. Why am I blanking on the name of that? Kiss of Death, that's the card I was looking for. All right, Mark of the Black Widow, that's fine. So we just need to give like a point of block here. I guess we can just like take it on the chin. They do have Tarantula, which may be incentivized to block like a little bit more. Like maybe we just do this and then take it on the chin. I actually want to keep the Outline Skirmish. Or no, I guess Spoils is just like strictly better, right? So yeah, we block with the Outline Skirmish, assuming that they're going to just pump 3 here. Right, Stains is not unexpected. So they could pump it again. So maybe we're supposed to just let this hit. But I think taking out the chin at least forces some more action out of them. So like it means they can't codex or whatever, which is pretty relevant. They still don't have like a good codex target anyways. Huh. Interesting. All right, let's start with these spoils here. And do we want to activate Kassai? We do have the ability to. It's just a question of whether or not they're going to want to block anyways. Hey, we are supposed to activate Kassai. Could also use a gold here and get like a little bit greedy, and then that turns our sabers back on, but we also don't need to do that. Maybe just popping gold is worth it. All right, I think we're going to go for the outline skirmish, and then I think we're supposed to save Unsheath for next turn. I think this should force through some gold, and we do have the agility token for go again, so we don't need to play the Unsheath. The Unsheath basically just represents +3 damage, which is not terrible. I think having an arsenal also has some value. Right, they're going to just deny a little bit of the copper, which I think makes sense. They get to pass back, which is quite nice. Yeah, I think from what I understand, Kassai's assassin matchup is very, very good. Ooh, Kiss of Death, not bad though. So yeah, I think we're just going to give a bit of block here. So what is the most efficient way to block this? They do have the ability to pump, which could be scary. Kind of think we're maybe supposed to just like throw our hand in front of this almost. I feel like we're definitely blocking like this, and then we can either give the. It really depends on like what the pump is, though. Detoxin's also rough, so maybe we're just supposed to let this hit. I think I'm just supposed to give the full hand here, and if they have a pump or like a T-Toxin, then we just take it on the chin. If they don't, then I look a little bit stupid, but that's fine. So we can now unsheathed plus go again. Can also just pitch the take on the chin to send Saber. I think is also reasonable. Yeah, maybe that's just a better play. Kind of expecting a little bit more action there than there was. But this, I think, is still fine for us. They still are off both daggers, which is a pretty bad spot to be in as Arakni. So now we have to respect this with 7 functionally, or we could just let it hit and take it, but then we lose our arsenal, which is obviously not great. So we're giving grains plus 2 cards, and if they want to like pump over, maybe that's fine. Actually, I'm not sure why I blocked with the grains. I think I was expecting that this would come in for 4 because they're on the flip side. Yeah, that was my bad. We should have kept the grains there. And here, yeah, I think we're gonna actually just use a bit of gold here. Turns up our weapons, which means we don't have to pitch. Regain Tome's a little bit of an unfortunate draw, but not even the end of the world. We just arsenal that for next turn, get some value here, and then start off with Saber. There's actually probably what I should probably be doing is using the unsheath on the next attack since we already had Gogans, because it makes the breakpoints a little bit more annoying. I guess 7 and 2 is probably about as annoying. But I think it's a little bit worse for them if I put the +3 on the hot streak instead. Right, it's coming in with the clave. I think we don't care since we're already marked. So we'll go ahead and just take that there. Right, and they get their first sleeve note here. I think that's fine. Let's go ahead and maybe just block with 2 cards here. Can't really do much about it. Then we just get to draw swords on our turn. Yeah, I think it's pretty reasonable. Alright, we'll start with the draw swords, and then probably just keep this Gorganian Tome in Arsenal. They do get a dagger back, which is pretty good. But we just get to send some pretty efficient damage, which will force some blocks. So I think this is overall not bad. We probably should also activate Kassai there, but probably doesn't matter since they're basically staring down lethal at this point. At least pseudo-lethal. Alright, and we'll just finish on the hot streak here. Starting off with a Huntress Glaive. So they found their way to buy back the daggers, which is at least pretty nice for them. Let's go ahead and Dynamo's not doing very much. I think we're just saying that we're okay with being marked and then maybe saving the shelter for something a little bit more impactful. Could notably buff their dagger, but they have to do that beforehand. It's not a reaction. Interesting. Okay, so they're going to flick a dagger, rebuy a dagger. That kind of makes sense. Just get a little bit of extra value there. All right, and this is going to be coming in for 4, so that gets cleanly covered by shelter. And yeah, then next turn we just probably kill him. Fortunately, not really finding a great way to use our dynamos this turn, but not the end of the world. All right, and let's go ahead and start with the Kassai. Hopefully we can force through a bit of gold here. Let's also use our tome up, just so we're getting free discount on our weapons, and then that's probably going to be our arsenal target. We could also use Eye to maybe draw towards a better threat. I think that's probably worth it, especially because we get the additional opt value. Let's hold on to the Blade Flurry, I guess, just because that's one of the better cards in our deck. And this should probably just kill here. I don't think there's any real world where they're able to efficiently block here. All right, well, Blade Runner. We're still going to be forcing through damage here, which is kind of disgusting. And then the hot streak is going to be coming in for a decent chunk as well. We make an additional gold, which is quite nice. Yeah, I think we're in a pretty good spot. Let's go ahead and close the chain here. Hot streak will be lethal, and yeah, Big Bat pretty much wraps it up. I don't think there's really much they can do there. All right, Kiss Death and up 6. So maybe that game they maybe just didn't redraw into a lot of their dagger creation. Like they still had a bunch of Orb Weaver Spinnerets, and then also their up sticks were a bit late. They don't have any pick up the points notably, so maybe they're just hoping they draw into an up sticks on a later turn, which is semi-reasonable. Yeah, I think they maybe just got a bit unlucky there, like not finding their spinnerets. But going off double daggers as Mario when you don't have a guaranteed way to get them back is obviously a bit risky. But yeah, I think Kassai definitely excels, at least into the assassin matchup. Generally seems like she's pretty good, just historically been quite good into assassins, just because the dynamo's value can be pretty rough over the course of the game. All right, that was a pretty good one. Let's see if we can get another. All right, playing against Verdance. This might be the only deck that we can actually like raise an army into. The raise an army has not been very impressive so far. I think we're running AB2, maybe running the raise an army. Nourishing also maybe doesn't seem that bad. Maybe I'll run it like this and see how that goes. Definitely no rune or dynamos. I think no rune probably, right? All right, let's run it like this. See how it goes. Yeah, I've been trying to raise an army all day, and it's just felt like I have not been able to get it to line up. Like I get the gold required, but then I just never get the space to really play it out. So I think here we're gonna just maybe get the opportunity to put 2 yellows in the bin. And then I think that's fine. We could also put a blue in the bin, but I don't think that really helps us very much. But yeah, pretty good start for us. We get to start with an unsheathed, which is quite nice, and a blue in hand. Can we do everything here? So we unsheathed, or sorry, we sharpened. It's greater than twice their base, they get go again. So this will not work on. So we cannot do both. We cannot do double dagger and then also do everything. So I think what our play is going to be here is just unsheathed and then send in Centauri and Unnourishing, I think is maybe our best line. I guess we don't really have to double dagger when we're not running our boots. So maybe it's actually kind of okay for us. We'll not pay to create a vigor. And I think we're just going to try to force through the Nourishing. Maybe try to get some armor out of them. They notably don't have an arsenal anymore because they use the D-Rack here, so this might put a bit of pressure on either their hand or maybe some of their equipment. All in all, not a bad spot to be in. They don't have any decomposed fodder yet in terms of like earth cards. And if we do get to hit with this, it's going to put us pretty far ahead, I think. All right, it looks like it might just be hitting. So we get to keep a nice 5-card hand with an arsenal. Sending in a Blanche. It's like surprisingly annoying. I mean, I guess it's not even that annoying. We just ignore it this turn, right? We just don't care about the Kassai ability. Or we just can't use the Kassai ability, which is fine, and then we just send our whole hand here. I think that's going to be the play. The blood on our hands is like a little bit weird, so I maybe want to block with that. But we also don't have to. I think we will maybe just to like put it in the bin though. Like I think our hand converts well enough with just the draw swords. We have the go again source with the sharpened senses. Like I think all in all this is pretty good for us. I have a Fiddy is maybe not the best draw, but also not terrible. Let's go ahead and sharpened here. This might also not be a Raisin Army matchup for what it's worth. But I feel like into any wizard, they typically have a hard time clearing. The question is, do I want to play out the Unsheathed here? Probably not. I think we're just going to send in with the Centauri Saber and hope that we can maybe hit and then bin or like pitch our Ivophidia here. Seems like maybe have another React. Also fine. And then we could try to force through the Ivophidia hit with the Unsheathed, but I think that's maybe not necessary. Maybe we're just supposed to go with into the swing. If we clear their hands, then we're fine with that. Still don't have a ton of Decomposed Fodder. They've only played 2. I guess they do now have Decompose available if they want it. Oh, do we have a resource floating at some point? Oh, hold on. Sorry. We might need to... Wait, what? Why didn't we not... Did we not hit with that? Whenever a weapon I control hits, I make a resource? Or I can make a vigor? Wait, why did that not hit whenever a weapon control... Huh. Okay, maybe I missed the window on it or something. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know why I wasn't able to make a vigor, but that's fine. I guess we get I for next turn. Alright, CNC, a little unfortunate, but does give us a little bit more opportunity to get some cards in the bin, so maybe that's fine. The only problem with the Nourishing is that we already have a Nourishing in the bin, so we basically just have to get rid of a bunch of our value if we want to force that through. Unfortunate, but maybe we're supposed to just be blocking with it here. Maybe we try to Arsenal raise an army. Not because it's good, but maybe it's because we said that's what we're going to try to do in the video, so maybe we should be trying to go for it. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know what this card is for. Like, it's obviously for, like, slower decks, but, like, I don't know. Sometimes it just feels so rough, like, when you just don't get to line up. All right, we'll start with the Unsheathed here. Then we'll pitch to Centauri Sabers. I have a Phidia. It's actually kind of fine for next turn, right? Because we can Blade Runner and then pitch a blue. So maybe that's fine to leave both on top. It looks like they're going to Stonewall us here. Blocking with the E-Strike will mean that it does get pumped, though. So yeah, at least get a non-attack out of them here. And I guess we'll just start in one with a hot streak. Oh, we should or sorry, we should close. Whatever, it doesn't matter. They're gonna react anyways. It's fine. We probably should close chain so that the one from the gauntlets wasn't applying. But I guess it didn't really matter anyways. All right, playing out the ring. Pretty solid. Let's go ahead and start with the draw swords. Double taking on the chin is unfortunate, but I guess fine. We could also just like raise an army for one, but that's so sad. Oh, are we supposed to be Kassaiing here? Probably. This is very not exciting. I think we're just gonna pitch one of these taking on the chins to Blade Runner. If we do somehow manage to hit on the first chain link and make gold, then maybe we're fine. All right, we're still gonna go for this though. If they let this hit, I might raise an army. Interesting. Huh. Should I go for it? Yeah, I maybe just missed the greens earlier. Like maybe I was not rewinding to the point where the trigger happened, and that's why it wasn't working. All right, we've seen all the CNCs out of the way, which is also quite nice. Not create a vigor. And we can raise an army for 2, which might disrupt their next turn if they're trying to keep like a 4-card hand. Let's go ahead and close the chain. Maybe we're just gonna go for it. And then we arsenal take the chin for next turn. Fortunately, we don't get to swing with the army this turn, but maybe one of these guys just eats a felling or something. We're happy with that. All right, they do get the E-Strike to unfortunately clear one. Is this card bad? Kind of feels like this card is bad. Especially at 3 of, like, I don't know about this card. Feels very strange to me. Oh, they're maybe just gonna, like, play at fruits to do this. I think we're actually, like, kind of fine with that. Basically, like, save 10 life here or something crazy like that. And it's not actually that bad for us. Fortunately, we can't, like, prevent for our allies, which is very sad. But probably fine. Unfortunately, they had the E-Strike there, but I think that play was still pretty reasonable. All right, we'll start with the Gorgonian Tome, which will basically give us the free draw, and then I think we're just spoils. Could go for Kassai here, especially with Blade Flurry in hand. I don't think that's wrong. I feel like we do need to be a bit careful about how we're using our Kassai, though. I think we're just pitching the blue. And we're probably... are we playing the Blade Runner or not? I think we probably are. I guess this works out, right? Do we have a Vigor token? Is that why? Wait, did I miscount the resources here? We paid 1 here, 1 here. Oh, we drew a card off the tome. That's why. Oh, oops, sorry. My bad. Okay, whatever. We can still Blade Runner. This is fine. Sure. And I guess we're still doing this. All right, we get to hit, make some copper and some gold. So that means we can also pay a vigor since our daggers are free, or our swords are free, or whatever. Yeah, the Gorganian Tome I just like completely forgot about. Still pretty decent here. We basically force last 2 cards out of hand, and then we're set up in a pretty good spot for a little bit of tempo next turn. The only bad part about this is that we're not able to clear this Take It on a Chin out of Arsenal. I think that's fine, though. So what is the best thing we can do with this hand? We can blood our hands. What does blood on our hands do? It's like +1 go again, attack twice. So We can like go again, but like go again, attack twice on the Centauri Saber, and then end on Nourishing. Does that work? It's not a very big Blood Iron Hands, but maybe it's still just like worth it. So we'll do go again, attack twice. We have the resources for this, right? Yeah, I think so. We'll go ahead and put it on the Saber. And then this will get Gogan for the entire turn. We can swing in. I don't think we're activating Kassai here, and we don't have we don't have to like activate it for the Nourishing, because we've already seen the last two. So I think this is overall okay. Still haven't gotten like any decompose value, which is also pretty nice for us. Let's go ahead and send in again. It's like a little bit of like a weaker turn, but it's not even that bad if we get to just make a vigor here. And then we can end on the Nourishing. I think this is all in all pretty good for us, actually. So I imagine they probably just have React to kind of cover the last portion of this. If they do, that's fine. Or at least forcing out all of their armor. And yeah, I think we're pretty well set up for next turn as well. All right, so this is the perfect opportunity to take it on the chin. This is only coming in for 2, which is really nice as well, since they've not decomposed yet this game. So we get full coverage, and we also get the agility token, and we also get to basically get around the plow under effect as well. Yep, so I think this is working out pretty well for us. All right, let's see if we can raise another army here. We do still have 2 left in the deck. It's definitely possible, and that is my main goal, I guess, for this video. We do have the agility tokens. Playing out the hit and run's not necessary. We could activate Kassai. We do have 2 activations already to go, so maybe that's worth it. So yeah, I think we'll go ahead and just get a Kassai activation in. And then we can play the hit and run. Or actually, we can play the hit and run for buff. That's actually kind of more interesting. We did have a vigor token, so we don't need to pitch this yet. All right, we do get to make a gold as well. So we will pay with the riches here. And that will get our gold count pretty high. Let's close the chain, maybe Arsenal the Glint for next turn. Misplay hit and run, swing dagger into the swing. It's working out pretty well for us, I feel like. All right, do unfortunately have React here, but it's fine. Still threatening a decent bit of value, and we have Gogan for next turn. They have not drawn into their fellings yet, which I think are probably overdue at this point. I don't think we've seen a single one. So there we go. Do have a Raisin army again, though. And like this Raisin army is looking a lot better than the last one. So maybe we're just getting rid of a Blade Flurry here, blocking with Grains just in case they don't manage to play out any other attacks this game, which is semi-likely. And then I think we're maybe off to the races with the Raisin army. Yeah, it seems... We could also pitch with the Vigor, draw swords, Glint, Blade Flurry. To me, the better play, but the more fun play is Raisin army. So now we get to Raisin army. Let's go ahead and... How do we want to start first, though? I guess we should start with Dagger. We're only going to be able to really use 2 allies this turn, assuming that we like pitch. So maybe we're actually supposed to just... Oh wait, actually, I think I know the play. So we Kassai, which will incentivize them to block our first attack. Then we can just glint the first attack, assuming that they have to like defend it, right? Then we get to raise an army afterwards, and then maybe this draw makes our turn a bit better. I think that's the play. So now we get our free card draw, which also discounts our saber, which is really good. And then we get all the resources to raise an army here. So we'll go ahead and start with that. Raise for 3. All right, maybe the Raisin army is actually real solid in Verdance, and they're just going to scoop it up. All right, so I tried my best to actually get Raisin army to to work, but like every game that I've gotten it to work, they've like scooped the second it's played. I don't know if that's a good endorsement of this card. It's maybe just a bad content card because like the second that you play it, and it gets like an overwhelming amount of value, then your opponent just like gives up anyways. Or this card does nothing and then you maybe just block with it as like yellow, and that's maybe fine. I don't know. Not exactly the best card for trying to get content, but I wanted to at least try out Kassai because we haven't done Kassai for enough tier Fridays. I don't know. I feel like I was originally a little bit higher on Kassai just because I think that she's done pretty well in like tournaments and stuff. I don't know if that's gonna stay around though. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just like missing a lot of like what makes her really strong in the meta, but it feels like she's kind of just a okay deck. Like, she's definitely playable and like you can definitely like do well with her, but like if you're trying to like target something specific, I don't know if Kassai is like the answer to anything necessarily in the meta. Like, it just feels like kind of like a deck that is good value, but like doesn't. I guess it's a deck that has good value, but doesn't really just like target anything specifically or have like something that's like unfair into, right? It just feels like a generically good deck that maybe has like a decent matchup in everything. That's maybe kind of like my initial feeling on Kassai. All right, so I think that's probably gonna wrap it up for today. So this was me playing Aaron Shamps, Canadian National Championship 5th place deck. I think this deck is pretty solid, a lot of fun, and the 3 race armies are quite nice as well if you want to try to make a bunch of Centauri Sellswords, which I think are quite interesting as well. But yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up for today. So thank you all for watching. And yeah, let me know if you want to see any more Kassai gameplay. I probably won't play it on the channel because it's kind of boring. But yeah, I mean, it's not that bad. It's like kind of fun trying to like figure out the puzzle of like how you're making gold, how you're like managing your resources. Like, I think the deck is a lot more fun to play than it is to watch, maybe is as at least my like initial perception. Like, I think the deck surprisingly does have a lot of like micro decisions on like how you're managing your resources and whatever, but also like a lot of it's just like linear like sword swinging and then eventually like play like nourishing or whatever. I don't know. It's a very like linear deck, like very much a deck that kind of plays itself a lot of times. So I don't know if I'm like the biggest fan of that. Yep, but I think that's gonna wrap it up for today. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. And a special thank you to all the folks who decided it would be a good idea to give us $2 on Patreon. We really appreciate the support, but it's obviously never required.